All right, a good day to all. Sam here with you on Tuesday, May 29th here. We're kind of late morning, and we've done some polling, as we do every day, amongst the members, and we have three projects we're going to look at today. First up is more of an update on EOS to the dollar. Now, I'm going to assume that many of you will know or recognize that there's been some news with regard to EOS in the last few days. And, you know, it's really not we're not trying to be the disseminator here of fundamental news, so I'm going to let you do your own research there. What we try and do is, as technicians, is always to let the price action dictate to us where we see opportunity. Of course, as I've mentioned before, the first assumption of a technician is that all of the known variables and fundamental information that can affect the price are factored in to that price at any given moment in time. So while there was some bearish news here, and we can see that what happened here, you know, the market seems to be absorbing it rather well now. So I would encourage you, if you're thinking about trading in EOS or you currently own some EOS, just Google around, do a little research on your own. That's just part of the process, so you understand what you're trading. I encourage you to do a little digging on that so that you can interpret whether or not you want to hold a position like this or take a new position. Now, when we were last looking at this, this was I think it was last Thursday we did an update. So this is going to be relatively short in terms of video analysis here, because all we're really doing is just updating what we did. If you want to go back and see that video, it was on the 22nd of this, so it was just last Thursday, so that should be easy to find on if you're a member. It'd be easier to find in our crypto review channel, and if you're on YouTube, easy to find just checking on the dates. So anyway, as we were looking at it back on Thursday, it was just entering the golden zone. And I was encouraging any people that were looking for a trade or interested to be a buyer. I bought it there. I put my stop under the 65. Yes, I did get stopped out. All right. So, but that is, I'll take those. Right. That's a very small loser. Just the kind of loser. If you're going to take a loser, that's the size that you want. Like small. So nothing's going to do any significant damage. So we did. So you note here now we've had a very slight break of the 65, right? So they caught me damn near to the tick low, right? I was just under the 65. So I'm in and out. Now I'm back in again. Now, of course, the idea is not to follow my trading. But just to evaluate whether or not you see an opportunity here. You know, I can give you the rationale behind why I'm long again. So this is a favorite project of mine, and I'll trade it against the dollar and Bitcoin. In fact, I currently have it to both of those. But again, I'm not trying to hype my book. I'm just it's a really interesting project. If you're not familiar with what they're up to, that's more part of that due diligence. I would encourage you to really get familiar with what's going on with EOS. Now, as we sit here, let's get back to the price action here. So we've had the slight break of the 6.5 and then a re-dip into the golden zone, and now we're getting movement out of that. So there is an Elliott count and a scenario here that supports the bullish bias here. So if we bet now, I've got a 3-hour up here to Bitfinex. Now in that prior video, I went through all of the wave relationships that got us to this low, and then this 5-wave structure here. Now it's unlikely that this is 1, 2, 3 for a number of reasons. What I see here is that more likely this is 1, 2. So we've had in the larger degree here in white, this would be 1, 2, followed by yet another 1, 2. So the depth of the retracement here, we don't disqualify per Elliott count. If this is a 1 wave, well, we certainly can go beyond the 65 and often do. 786 is not uncommon for a wave 2. Well, it's not ideal. The high probability zone is between the 50 and the 618. That's where we like to buy it. But we've seen countless times across every asset class where a wave 2 will go to the 786 and go to the 887. They go deeper. But as we look at it here, do we have a reasonable expectation here that we have a new opportunity to be buyers? Well, if I open this up here, let's go down to a smaller time frame, because there is a count here that works. So I'm going to go down. Let's go from the 3-hour to the 1-hour and take a look. So here's that very slight break that we see here where it just broke the 65. So a couple of things to note. One, usually when I see that, that usually, the first thing I'm going to look for, what that usually means is that somebody was looking for a fill. So the first thing I'm going to look for is, was there a profit target there that somebody was pushing to get filled on? So if I think about where we left it here, and the idea was that we had our A, B, C in here, and that we'd gone into a 1, 2, turns out to be 3, 4, 5. Right? If we look at that fib swing relationship between the length of our wave 3 here up to our wave 4. So you can see here we come just shy of the 38, right where you'd want to look for that wave 4. But note what happens down here. So my hunch is what happened here is that this is a push to get a fill. So there's a slight front run on the 23.6 here, that there was a push to get filled, and so you can see how quickly it came out of that. So they push it down, somebody wanted a fill, they get it, and then rip it back out. Retest of the low, that holds. So you could, make the argument here that potentially we've got some sort of an additional 1, 2. It's a little bit too soon to call that a 1, 2, primarily because we don't get a good motive wave here. Well, I'll dig into that a little bit more, but it's not really very clean. It would be hard to call this the 1, 2 into an ABC. It's not a great looking motive wave coming out of there. But the fact that we've got a higher low is enough to, maybe warm up to it. So if you're looking for the long side here and you're comfortable given the fundamental news in the background, taking a long position here, I'd do the exact same thing. I would be a buyer here with a stop under the 65. This target has been realized. We've had the reaction. This could likely just be a test of that low. So if we can start to push out of that, now the more conservative approach would be to wait until we get a clear motive wave coming out of this. You want to be a little more aggressive? Maybe there's a smaller sized position here to consider with a stop under the 65, allowing for some more complex correction to unfold here. Right now, I do think that is tradable to be. I'm in it. I'm long. So yes, it was tradable to me. Now to everyone, it may not be as much. You could wait. So the idea being, if that were a 1, 2, if we had something. Oh, it looks like there's a diagonal there. So if that was a 1, 2, well, then we're looking for something along these lines to come out of that. Now, the fact that we broke the 65 here means that we can absolutely guaranteed be expecting algo selling on the all the way halfway back. So if I pull this off now just to clear up the chart, we take some of this out. Since we broke the 65, there is going to be selling at the next 50. So if I pull from swing high to swing low right in here, and you can see it's kind of interesting, we have this low volume area here. Well, you can see why we have low volume there. You can see how quickly the market moved through and did not accept that price. Moved through that price, and then we found stability here, went into this trading range, and thus you see on the market, on the volume profile, where the majority of the trading is. And now here, relative to what's visible here, says I have this set for visible range. We can see the point of control is down here. Now we're coming back up to try and break through, get to the other side of that, and reestablish perhaps a higher point of control as we get more volume up here. But this is, we absolutely have got to pay attention to this. Now, break of the 65 or not, we'd be paying attention to that because just we've got a swing high to a swing low. So we always are going to pay attention to the fib fight that's going to happen on the way back, right? Just because it's there doesn't mean we can't get through it, right? As I will often remind you, but this potential here for 1, 2. Now, if this is going to go into a 3, then this potentially is just the one wave going in of the third wave. If this is our third, were that our third. So if this is going, if it is, right, and it's a little dicey as to whether or not I've got a good one wave there, but if that's 1, 2, then within my third, I absolutely have to have it break down impulsive. This has to be an impulsive move. Well, pardon me, I take that back. It does not, because coming off of this low, we could have a diagonal. So that it does not, what we need to see is 5 waves in larger degree here coming out of this. So we could have something like this. So we could have a diagonal that would get us there. Something along those lines, 1, 2, 3. So we'd be looking for this to move in 3s rather than 5s. Now, if we get an impulse here, well, then we know we've got a good 1, 2 going potentially into a third, right? You can't be definitive about a 3 because if this is an impulse, it looks exactly the same as an ABC. It's when you have to wait for the 4-5 to confirm that you've got an impulse or that you've got a motive wave even. So if we go here 1, 2, and then we get an impulse here, at that point you can't be clear whether or not you've got a third wave or a C wave going in. The only way you can the only thing you can use to your benefit is looking at the prior wave relationship here. Does this look corrective? Are we correcting this? Or have we finished a full correction here? This would certainly be potentially now a full correction. We have all of the subdivision we'd look for. So the bias would be to the long side. So if we get up here, if we move off of that impulsively and come down in 3 here, well, I would be a buyer here looking for the last leg to get that 5. That completes, and then, of course, at that point, then you're looking for the move. Come here. You're looking for this move to come down in 3, right? So that would be. I got to get used to that little doohickey. 5 and then 3, and then of course there's the opportunity to get on board for the big 3. So that's what I see here. Now here the problem area as it relates to putting on a current trade is that this price action is a little suspect. So let's go down to the let's go to a 30-minute here and look at that. It's hard to get a 5 out of that. Here, this looks like you could have a 1 wave. That could be your 2, but I suppose you might. You can't even get a diagonal out of that. It's just very hard to get a read on that. Even let's go down to the 15-minute here before I wrap it up here. See this right here. So working backwards, this looks like we could have a diagonal finishing that. So that makes me think that this would have to be 4. So this has to be, boy, it's hard to get it out of there. So this, I get 5 here. I get 3 here. But this looks more like I've got this coming up as a 1 wave. This is a 2 wave. And then this is just a failure, right? So this can't be a 3. This can't be a 4. So that's why if you want to be more conservative, I mean, it's not unreasonable to wait and see what comes next. Let's get more information here because this is a little suspect. Because I can't, I got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So I've got an impulsive 5-wave structure coming out of that. Even, let's see, is there an alternate count? I usually don't do this here on the fly, but it's just occurring to me that we could have this. So this is a completed 1. Right, so this could be a truncated C here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That could be 3, 4. Can we get that? Can we get that to work? So that would be, let's see. I don't think that'll work because of the length of it. So if this is, so remember, 3 doesn't have to be the longest, but it can't be the shortest. So if I measure this, come here. So if this were my 2 here, and that's my 3, and this is my 4 coming down here, well, that potentially could work because you can see here we don't make 100% of the third. This would be equivalent to the third. So I might be able to dig that out in that fashion. So I've got 1, and now so 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be the A, the B, the C, truncated C wave. So we get a 2 here. I can get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 into my 3. And then, boy, it almost looks like you've got this again. It looks like, because this looks more like 5 and this looks like 3, so it looks like that could be 4. So let's just do a quick check on that. So it qualifies. Boy, that's an ugly looking 2, but let's just quickly check this. So if I were pulling from here, do I have anything there to work with? Well, we break the 65 here. If that were 4 here on the front of the 65, and then we come up a little shy on the algo target. So it's a bit of a, sometimes you feel like you're force fitting something, and that causes hesitation or doubt. And as we all know, oftentimes the smart thing to do is when in doubt is to stay out. Now, I went with it partly just because I'm very bullish long term of this project, and I just saw an opportunity to get a better position in this. So this would have to play. So we'd have to finish this now as A, B, C coming down here. So that would be a hell of a deep 2. Let's check it. So if we take if this is my 5, right, and we've broken the 786. Last stand when you're fighting for this kind of a trend, we could check the 887. Oh, so we're just shy of the 887, but we've moved off of that impulsively. So potentially now 1, 2, 3 is in. We're putting in the 4 and we go up for the 5. So as I was showing you on the larger time frame, potentially now this is just 1, 2, and then this is just the one wave going in of the third wave of the first wave. Right? So I know that sounds silly when you say it out loud. It just sounds ridiculous. But potentially now we've got 1, 2, and then the one wave going in for what would be the one wave of the third wave of the first wave. I know, sounds silly, but that's kind of what I'm seeing there as I look at this. So I maintain the long. I maintain my long bias here. I do know the news is that it's likely to create some volatility, so you got to be cautious trading in here, and you got to use stops. All right, so you can look at it and say, "Oh man, if you had your stop further away, you wouldn't have taken that stop on this. Here was the break. Here's where I got stopped out. You wouldn't be stopped out. What? Listen, man, I'd much rather take a small loser and then re-enter the market than be moving down my stop. I've just learned this over many, many years of doing this. I can always go back into the market. All right. I'd much rather take the small loser here and reload over here. No problem. I have no hesitation re-entering. And that's kind of where you want to get to, where it's not like, you're not sweating. Should I buy? I'm not really sure. I'm not, pull the trigger, put a stop on it, right? If it's technically valid and it's there and you like the project, paralysis of analysis can work against you, right? So there is no there are occasionally some trades that are pretty close to perfect, but perfection is unattainable, particularly with Elliott Wave. There are times when it's just going to be, it's like you have an unfair advantage, as I'm prone to saying. When the market follows the roadmap just perfectly, it's an unfair advantage. It is, literally. But seeking perfection in trading is a wasted effort, wasted mind share, waste of time. It's unattainable. Don't aspire to it. You don't need it. You don't need to be perfect to be profitable. You need to focus on money management and risk control, which is why I'll take the small stop any day and re-enter rather than be moving a stop, moving it lower. Oh, I know it's going up. Oh, I don't want to get stopped out. Take the stop. It's not, get used to it. Get used to it. It should be uneventful. Got stopped out. All right. Is there a re-entry? Plenty of trades. No shortage. But you take a big loser, you really got a long way back to even. And then you're in trouble, right? So don't let it happen to you. You're in control of this. You're in control of it. Right? You can't control the market. All you can control is how you respond to it. Where you exit, where you enter. That's it. All right, guys. I went longer than I thought I would here. I was trying to just do a review. Okay, that's it for this one. Be back. I've got a couple of this to share with you later. Okay, that's it for now.